What's up, the world? It's your boy Tommy Mab. I came to essentially have my discussion. I'm not gonna gloat, but it just trips me out sometimes when I speak on stuff, and people really most of the time don't pay attention to what I say. You know what I mean? Because when I said last time I did the video on the Nuggets and the Heat, when I said they're probably going to win game 2, it always comes off that way, because especially seeing as I said the same thing about the Lakers, and the Lakers really should have won game 2, but the difference between the Lakers and the Heat is the Heat is they're very well coached. Erik Spoelstra's ability to be able to dissect and figure out stuff is, you know what I'm saying, second to none. Erik Spoelstra's a beast. So I said, if there's a wrinkle in it, Spoelstra will find it. He will find it and he will exploit it. And him inserting Kevin Love into that lineup, small little change, right? It's a small little change, but it was so important because it gave them big enough leads for them to rest Bam, and kept the game close enough for them to rest Bam. Joker went off for 41, and it tipped my hat to him, but he didn't get most of those points on Bam, right? He got most of those points on whenever they put Zeller in. That's where he started to work, because Zellers can't really guard him. Bam is better at guarding him unless he gets the ball close around the rim, because he can just turn around and throw it over. But what was, like I said before, the thing that was making me annoyed about the last game that they came crashing back down to earth was they were trying to act like he was doing all these assists and this, that, and the third. Like I said before, I love Jokic, but the difference in the situation is that it's a completely, and Mark Jackson said that dumb shit last night too. Oh, he's a point guard. He's a damn point guard. He's not even close to a point guard. All he is a guy who you pass the ball into the post. If people double team him, he'll pass it. You got people cutting and moving around him, and even if somebody's not moving, he just throws the ball. So when you don't double team him, it's really hard for him to make those passes, because most of the time those passes are generally generated by the players cutting. If he don't have people cut, he gets stuck with the ball a lot, and a lot of times he'll just throw the ball up. And he like I said, he did a pretty good job yesterday of making sure he was in a good spot, so that when he did put it up, you know, he could just drop it in. And he did. He had 2 on Bam. The rest of them were on Zeller. I think Bam has impressed me throughout this series because of Bam's ability to guard somebody that's that much bigger than he is. And Bam did a better job than AD did. It's ridiculous how well Bam is doing, and it's simply because Bam plays with so much more confidence than AD does. Bam plays not afraid. Like, you watch Bam play, and Bam plays the way that AD should have played. Okay? I've said this 10,000 times. I said the difference between the Miami Heat and the Lakers is the Miami Heat can shoot the 3, and that's the equalizer. I said that's the equalizer, and I said that's one of the reasons why I said I thought they were going to win game 2. It's because I said they can shoot. The Miami Heat can shoot. I said, and if they shoot, you got Erik Spoelstra. I said the Denver defense has been terrible all year. I said, and they've been terrible all playoffs. The only thing that's been saving them is that people have been missing shots. I said, if those shots go down, it's going to be real hard for the Denver to beat anybody, because if the shots are falling, they can't stop you from getting to the rim anyway. So if the shot is falling, their one remedy for people getting to the rim is to clog the lane. But the minute that they come out and they have to guard you, they can't stop anybody. So you watch, it's like, okay, so whenever Jokic has to come out, they're done. And because he's terrible from anywhere except for 2 feet under the rim. If he steps out 2-3 steps, he's done. You know what I mean? And Bam, unlike AD and LeBron, them were not trying to force the issue. They weren't trying to force that inside game. They're like, okay, we'll just take what y'all give us. And they could. The difference in the situation is the Lakers didn't do that. The Lakers weren't making those shots. The shots that the Miami Heat players were making, the Lakers players weren't making. They weren't making the shots. And if the Lakers made the shots that the Miami Heat made, they probably would have blew the Denver Nuggets off the court. The difference in the situation is they couldn't make any shots. Anytime they needed timely shots, they couldn't make them. If they couldn't get anything at the rim, and it was crazy how bad Denver's defense was, that the Lakers kept it close even though they couldn't make any shots. They couldn't make any threes. The Miami Heat, I told people, then I turned on the TV and hear all these idiots talking, well, the Miami Heat play like the Miami Heat. They shot 32% all playoff. I'm sitting there thinking like, okay, we'll see. Because I watched the Miami Heat. It's very, very misleading when you shoot a lot of threes. Sometimes you can miss a lot of threes, and it can die. But I know the Miami Heat. I watched the Miami Heat. They can shoot, and so when they were saying all this shit about, the Miami Heat, this, that, and the I'm sitting like, well, Miami can shoot. That's the difference between Miami and the Lakers. The Miami 3-point shooters are shooters. The Lakers 3-point shooters are attackers of the rim who can shoot the three, which is different. Meaning they're not in their comfort zone shooting threes. They're in their comfort zone attacking the rim. Austin Reeves, Dennis Schroeder, you know what I'm saying? LeBron, AD, they're at their best when they're attacking downhill, trying to get to the foul line. So if they don't get foul calls, it's going to be real hard for them to win. They were not getting foul calls. So, at least not to the extent that they should have been. So when you look at the Denver Nuggets, like I said before, I said the Miami Heat. I didn't even say they might. I said the Miami Heat will win Game 2. I said that because I felt like, looking at the wrinkles that they came up with in that second half, even when they were down, I said they're not up high enough. When they left, when the Miami Heat left, when Bam took that rest and they jumped up to like an 8-9 point lead. And then I think they ended the quarter at like a 7-point lead. I was like, that's not enough. The Miami Heat own the fourth quarter. They own the fourth quarter. They are not. That's not enough. They're not, and they got that with Bam on the bench. When Bam wasn't on the bench, they couldn't get anything. I said, so you can imagine that Bam's going to slow them down on that end, and then on this end, they can't stop the Miami Heat when Bam is on the floor. When they have that lineup of Bam, Duncan, Lowry, Vincent, and whether it be Jimmy sometimes, whether it be Duncan sometimes, that lineup is hard for them to match up with when they put Kevin Love in, because Kevin Love he can give you minutes, and the difference is you got to respect Kevin Love's 3-point shot. So that's the difference that the Heat have that the Lakers didn't. You don't have to respect Bam, but you do have to respect Kevin Love's 3. And that took Aaron Gordon out of the game, because now Aaron Gordon, who was really their best defender, right? You take him and you have to, and you keep switching him on to Kevin Love, and he has to stay on Kevin Love, because if you put a smaller person on Kevin Love's gonna go to the post. They can pass it inside, and Kevin Love can put it back up. So Aaron Gordon has to go out to get him. But Aaron Gordon is naturally wants to be around the rim. So he has a tendency to lean off. And with Kevin Love, that you can't do that. Kevin Love is a willing shooter. So Kevin Love gets the ball and just shoots it. Right? Because, like I said before, Kevin Love is a willing shooter. If you give him the ball, this is a guy who's a Hall of Famer who now is in his year. He was with LeBron during those runs. So he's used to being in the finals. This is not a big stage for him. He's played in those big stages. Not only does he give you, insight and speak to you, you know what I mean? He can actually step in with some confidence and play. And the Heat, a lot of those guys weren't on the team when the Heat made it the first time. The Gabe Vincent, you know what I'm saying? I can't remember the other guy's name, but he's really good. But I just can't remember his name off the top of my head. But Gabe Vincent wasn't there. So Like, when you watch the way the Heat plays, they're confident because they've been here before. This is the difference. The Nuggets have not. So, you know what I'm saying? When it's not cutting time, a lot of those same plays the Nuggets were making when they're up by 10, they can't make it when they're down. When the game gets close. Why? Because those shots matter. Now you're measuring. Now you're making sure. Now you're doing it. And Jamal Murray was still a beast. But like I said, if they don't get points in transition, then the Nuggets are not a great offensive team. They're only an offensive team if they're not having to go in transition. The minute they start having to move in transition, they are not as good. The half-court offense consists of high pick and roll with Joker and Murray, and 9 out of 10 times it's just Murray. And Murray is not as good a passer as Jokic, and Jokic is not as good a scorer as Murray. So if you keep the ball in Murray's hands and front him and force him to have and put a good defender on Murray like Jimmy Butler is, Jimmy Butler's going to make it so he can't pass it to Jokic. The end game is just don't let him pass it to Jokic. So now what happened was Murray kept getting desperate and just throwing it over the top, and they kept stealing it. So after a while, he couldn't do that, and he stopped doing it. So now he doesn't want to throw it up because they had somebody trailing and waiting on him to throw it up, and then they just stepped in front of it and stole it before Jokic could get to it. Now that high pick and roll doesn't work as well because now Murray's afraid to pass. And Jokic, if you don't get it to him really close to the rim, he's not effective in that high pick and roll. So the Miami Heat fronted him, made sure he couldn't get that ball to Jokic. They doubled him immediately, made sure he couldn't get the ball to Jokic. And then the minute he got away, they were able to get somebody to stop the pass to Jokic. Then they moved back to the shooters, and now Murray, it ended up being like a situation where Murray just ended up having to go one-on-one with Jimmy Butler a lot. And as good as Jamal Murray is, I mean, he did a lot. He made a lot of plays, and he didn't have a bad game. But he's the head of the snake. If you slow him down, then I've said this, and funny part, somebody came to the thing and said, "Oh, you crazy. Jokic is the head of the snake. This, that, and third. Jokic." I'm sitting there thinking, I said, man, if Murray doesn't do what he do, they lose. I say they win or lose based on Jamal Murray, not Jokic. I said Jokic plays the game, but their number one option is Jamal Murray. It's not Jokic. Someone has to get Jokic the ball in a position where he can score. Most of the time, he's not taking people from the top of the key. He had that one play he did on Bam where he was able to go behind the back. Normally, he's a fairly straightforward dribbler. And he's tall anyway, so he has a tendency for the ball to rise on him. So it's easier to steal if he starts to try to dribble for too long. So Jokic is not. That's why I laugh when they say he's a point guard. So stop it. He's not a point guard. He's a great player. Period. In the story. But Jokic is a willing. He wants to pass. Jokic is not somebody who's out there trying to chunk up a bunch of shots. He's a player who wants his teammates to get involved. He wants his teammates to get warmed up. He's like LeBron in that matter. Like, he knows how much he needs his teammates, so he wants his teammate. He doesn't. He's almost like he's like, and he'll throw it up because he doesn't want to score. That's not what Jokic does. Jokic wants to pass. So when he's sitting there and he's there, it's like sometimes he'll be right at the rim sometimes, and it'll take him a second before he just throws it back up because he doesn't want the two. He wants the three. But the problem with that is they're not giving him the three anymore. So now he has to take the shot. And the Miami Heat going down there, they're knocking down threes because the other side, they can't guard the Miami Heat. Miami Heat can get whatever they want whenever they want it, and it's nothing the Denver Nuggets can do. All they can do is hope the Miami Heat miss, and that's it. They can try to contest as well as they can, but their biggest hope is that the Miami Heat miss, and the Miami Heat will not. They're a good shooting team, and this is what I said last time. Denver Nuggets are a better team. They're bigger, and in fact, they're bigger. They're fast and strong. They're just a better team than Miami Heat, but they're not better. They don't have a better coach, and the Miami Heat can play defense. That's the difference between them and the Denver Nuggets, and why I picked them to win game 2. Because I'm like, looking at that last game, I was like, if I'm the Denver Nuggets, I'm not walking out of there feeling great. The Miami Heat shot terribly in that game. They shot terribly. Spruce couldn't hit a shot. Vincent couldn't hit a shot. I mean, Vincent could hit a shot, but the other one, I always forget his name. He couldn't hit a shot. So I'm like, and they ain't even got Tyler Hero. Imagine when Tyler Hero comes back. You already cannot. Every time they took Vincent off the court, they had no other ball handler. Now when that happens, they can put Tyler Hero in. It's a completely different situation here. Now Tyler Hero switching in with Vincent, you're not really going to get a rest if you're Jamal Murray. You can't do what you did against us. You know what I'm saying? You can't do against them what you do to us, right? You can't do what you did to the Lakers and the Suns. The Suns had KD and Booker. They can't make shots. They have people, the rest of the people around them aren't shot makers. The Lakers had AD, LeBron, and Austin Reeves. Everybody else was iffy. Rui even was kind of iffy in those games. But the biggest problem with the Lakers is none of them could hit a 3. They couldn't make a 3, and that's what they needed. They could not make enough threes to hold off the Nuggets. The Nuggets just, at half the time, they would go 2-3 minutes without scoring because the Nuggets just packed the paint. They just clogged the lane and forced they was willing to give the Lakers wide open shots all night. The Lakers weren't willing to take it because they couldn't make them. Even AD wouldn't even shoot a mid-range. He would put the ball on the floor and try to force his way through Jokic 9 out of 10 times, and they were not giving him those calls that he should have been getting. But even on top of that, just what did Bam do? Okay, Bob, dribble up close to the basket and shoot it. AD kept trying to do that little hook shot instead of just doing what Bam. Bam is 3 or 4 inches shorter than AD. And Bam was just walking up and stepping in the shots. Walking up, stepping in the shots. He was shooting it. He wasn't doing what AD was doing with these little loft shots and this, that, and the third. And that was the difference. The Miami Heat played with confidence. The Lakers, in my opinion, did not play with confidence. They played like they were afraid to, like they were annoyed, and did not trust their shot at all. When you watch the Miami Heat, you can see why that would have been the Lakers in Game 2 had the Lakers been shooting like that. Hell, the Lakers probably would have won Game 1 if they could make a 3, because they only lost that by 3 points. You know what I mean? So the Lakers probably would have won Game 1, probably would have won Game 2, and in an alternate universe, they probably sweep the Nuggets. But because they couldn't make timely shots and Jamal Murray could, that was the difference in the series. Jamal Murray was the MVP of that series. That's why I was laughing. It was laughable that Jokic ended up winning the MVP award for the semifinals. I thought that was ridiculous. I mean, Jamal Murray should have won that, hands down. Jamal Murray was the reason why they were able to come back and beat the Lakers, not Jokic. But Jokic is a beast in the box, in the box, on the block, and I just think that once they figure out, you know what I mean, that they can't play defense and that they really get all their points in transition, it's I think the NBA wanted them to play the Miami Heat, but I think they underestimated Erik Spoelstra, right? And they thought, oh well, it's a better matchup for Jokic to play the Celtics. I mean, to play the Heat instead of the Celtics. The problem with that is you would have been better off playing the Celtics because the Celtics have a less experienced coach. The Heat have possibly the best coach in the NBA. And you putting this guy in. I mean, he's doing a lot with nothing, right? There's no way without Tyler Hero and Victor Oladipo, they're supposed to be in NBA Finals. That's all the nod to Erik Spoelstra. His ability to scheme and utilize the players that he has around him. They're playing with Gordon and and Jokic. These guys are big on the block, and he found a way to throw in a wrinkle so that they couldn't utilize their size with MPJ, Gordon, and that's crazy that they were not able to utilize their size yesterday because of a small little wrinkle Eric Spoelstra put in there. And when you sit there and you watch, like, man, they underestimated the Miami Heat. Now I'm always rooting for the Miami Heat, you know what I'm saying? But I did not. And to this second, I think the Miami Heat can win. This is what I said before. I think they can win, but do I think they will win? It's hard to think you're going to consistently shoot, and because they're not going to give you the foul calls. You saw that last night. I mean, Jokic can down there yoke people out of the air, and they will not call him for anything. You know what I mean? That they don't want to call Jokic for anything, and the Miami Heat are not always going to be on. But if they can go on a run where they can make their shots, because like I said, the equalizer is shooting. The referees cannot stop you from making a shot. They can stop. The Lakers attacked around that and the third, trying to get foul calls. They should have got those foul calls, but that you leaving the game in the referee's hands, and they will control the game as much as they can if they can. When they tried to do the same thing last night with the Miami Heat, they tried to call. They wasn't giving the Miami Heat nothing. Bam was getting called for shit. The Jokic wasn't getting called for. They called Lowry for a charge. You go down there the next play. And Jokic is doing the same damn thing, putting his arm out to create space. No call. Turns around, gets an and one. I was sitting there watching it like this is the junk I cannot stand about watching the Denver Nuggets. It's so clear the NBA is rigging it, and anytime the Miami Heat, anytime they've been elite, it was from shooting. They just make their shots, and that's all. I was sitting there thinking, this ain't enough lead, and I was like, the Miami Heat are making their shots. I said they were making the shots in Game 1 towards the end. But the difference between Miami Heat and the Denver Nuggets can't play defense. So there's gonna be an easy series offensively for the Miami Heat after going against the Celtics. After going against the Celtics, the Denver Nuggets defense is food. It's easy. You don't gotta deal with Al Horford and Robert Williams. They ain't gotta deal with Tatum and Jaylen Brown. They're dealing with MPJ, who's a terrible defender, Jokic, who's a terrible defender, Murray, who's a terrible defender, and you really only got to worry about Gordon and KCP. That's it. Them the only two you got to worry about. The other three are liabilities. So KCP got to fight through everything, because if any switch they get with MPJ, Jokic, or Jamal Murray is a layup. So a lot of times they're trying their worst to keep Gordon in space so that he can come he can take on the pick and roll, but he can't do it if they do a high and then keep Kevin Love, because the other guys can't rotate fast enough. So Gordon most of the time is stuck on Kevin Love because he got to respect his three. So now you've taken Aaron Gordon out of the equation. He can't be around the rim to help rebounding, and he can't help out on he can't help on the perimeter. So now you got one-on-one with guys like Duncan Robinson and stuff on Murray and MPJ. They literally had to take MPJ out of the game. I mean, he was such an exploitable defender that he couldn't even play. They had to take him off, and they spent most of the time playing Brown, the two Brown kids, the Bruce Brown and the other guy Brown. I don't remember his name, but his first name, but it's spelled Braun. But he hit the same thing. It was just not. It was odd. Man, where's MPJ? And then I know it was like when he got back in, like, oh wow, he can't play. So they had to put him out again and put Bruce Brown in. And what can you do? They don't have, like I told you before against the Lakers, the problem with people against the Nuggets aren't deep. They only go about 6 man. They only go to about 6th to 7th in their rotation. But they get a lot of extended minutes from their starters. But they'll go to maybe they got the same 5, adding Bruce Brown, Jeff Green, who they don't really like to play, but generally if they're forced to play him, they'll play him, but they don't really like to give Jeff Green minutes. He's part of the rotation, but not really. And you got Brown, who they really don't like to play, but if MPJ is getting exploited extremely, if there's like he can't stop anybody, that's when they'll play Brown, because they're like, well, we got to give up the defense for the offense for the defense. We need stops. We don't need points, so they'll pull MPJ out because MPJ can't stop anybody. And that's why I said, do I think MPJ is going to play as well in the second game? I said no. I said, do I think Gordon is going to play as well in the second game? No, because of the way that the Heat scheme. They're very what's the word? They're system players. Meaning, if you stop the system, you stop them. MPJ, not so much, but Gordon especially. MPJ defensively, though, you know as much as he gives out, he might give, and he doesn't give that much because he's so inconsistent that you don't know what you're gonna get with MPJ on the offensive side from night to night, because he's the second, sometimes second, most of the time third option, because the first option is Murray. Second, if Murray gets a good matchup, he's generally going to go ISO. And second is Jokic, right? But Jokic is not the second in the mindset of shooting. He's the second in the mindset of distributing. So they really want to get Jokic to his middle spot and then force him in a situation where people either have to double him. It's not like LeBron where you're doing these pick and rolls and you kind of getting isolation with this player that forces them to have to come in and come off of the shooter. That's not what Jokic does. Jokic kind of goes to the center of the paint, waits on you to throw him, then gets the pass inside. He gets the inside pass, and then he holds it until they come to double him. Once they double him, then he'll pass it. Or if they don't double him, if they stay on the shooter will cut, and then Jokic will throw the back cut. Problem was the Heat were not giving them the back cuts a lot of times, and the Heat was staying on them on the outside. So now you have these same players that before were cutting or getting wide open threes, who are no longer even getting open shots. So now Jokic has to put the ball on the floor and shoot it up, and he did a pretty good job of getting the ball in the hoop. But that's not what makes Jokic special. His ability to make short range shots, and a lot of the shots he was making were difficult. And I don't think you can count on him making those in the entire series. And you throw in the fact that they try to do what they did against the Lakers, against the Heat, and just keep him in the whole time. It's not gonna work, right? The Heat are not the Lakers. They're better. They're more well coached than the Lakers were. You're not going to have small ball lineups where they're playing four guards. You know what I'm saying? That's just not what the Heat do. They're not going to do that for extended minutes like the Lakers did. With Darvin Ham, they're gonna make you make shots. And playing it, they did a good rotation. Zellers was horrible, but Love and Bam really stepped up and played to their potential. Love gave the Heat valuable minutes, and Jokic couldn't rest. So Jokic couldn't rest. Jamal Murray got a little bit of rest, and in the end, he was able to make a run when they put Zellers in, and he was able to get 7 or 8 quick points. But most of them are foul shots, and you sit there and you're like, okay, well, I mean, this ain't enough. Bam's resting. Then the third quarter is gonna turn over. Once they go to the fourth, he's gotta have plenty of rest, and he's probably gonna play the entire fourth. And once he plays the entire fourth, they couldn't make a shot. The Denver Nuggets couldn't do anything. They couldn't pass. They couldn't shoot, because when you put him in, and then once they put Jimmy back in, now they can't do that pick and roll with Jamal Murray anymore. And not unless Jamal Murray is shooting contested threes, which is what the Miami Heat want. Like, it's only a matter of time before he misses them. He's not going to make all those shots, and he made a whole lot of them. He's not going to make all those shots, and And he ended up making 2 threes that made it extremely close. But in the end, when the Miami Heat made their shots, and I know that the Denver Nuggets needed to make a 3, I was like, the Denver Nuggets don't want to go into overtime with Miami Heat. They don't. They're cooked. Jokic is dead ass tired. He looked tired. He did not want the ball a lot of times. He looked like he was tired. He looked like he was throwing the ball away and just kind of resting because he was tired. He didn't get out the hole for it, but now you're going to try to tell the man they got to play overtime. I don't think they wanted that. But pass it in to Jamal Murray. He shot it up. And it almost went in. Where it go? Flying up. He's tired. He had to work so hard to get a shot with Jimmy Butler on him that it's like, oh my gosh, like you knew he's exerting so much energy that it doesn't surprise anybody that he ended up hitting the front of the rim. He was gassed, and that was a testament once again to the exposure, making sure his guys, while the Denver Nuggets were going for broke and keeping their guys in for extended periods, he's supposed to stay to his rotations. So what happened? The Denver Nuggets, a lot of their players got in foul trouble because they were playing for extended minutes, while the Heat was coming in fresh. Oh, okay. They're looking like, okay, we're switching this guy out for this guy, and they're sitting up. The Denver Nuggets are like, oh my gosh, this guy, I'm gonna have to run around screens and this, that, and the third. It's like, man, this is annoying. And Bam, they ain't gonna talk about Bam, but Bam is as good a passer. He's not as good as Jokic, but Bam is as good a passer as any big man in the league. So, but they ain't gonna talk about Bam. You know what I'm saying? Bam, I've said this in game 1. Bam outplayed Jokic in game 1. The Denver Nuggets just were shooting really well, and the Miami Heat weren't. Game 2, you start to see how important defense is, and why I said that Bam outplayed him in game 1. Because it doesn't matter how many points you give on one end, if you're just letting it go, you giving the exact same points. Every time you score, you're coming back down and giving away points on the other end. The Denver Nuggets needed a stop, and they couldn't get one. And that was the difference in the game. They could make all the crazy, high difficulty shots they want. It doesn't change the fact that they cannot make shots. I mean, they cannot stop people from making shots. And if you're not just trying to attack the rim, hoping to get foul calls like the Lakers were doing, you can beat. They're very easy. They're very exploitable, because if you make shots, the referees cannot cheat you out of those plays. And that is the difference between the Miami Heat and the Denver Nuggets. The Miami Heat made their shots. I mean, the Lakers. The Miami Heat made their shots. The Lakers did not. So in the end, the Lakers ended up having to deal with the consequences of trying to get fouls instead of just taking a chance. That's what I said. Just shoot the freaking ball. LeBron, just shoot. Even if you miss the shot. Jimmy Butler was missing shots the whole game. He's been missing shots the whole series, but he's taking them. He's not forcing up shots and trying to force his way into the paint. That's not what Jimmy Butler's doing. Jimmy Butler's letting the game come to him, and I think that's the difference between the way LeBron played and the way LeBron and AD played in comparison to Jimmy Butler and Bam. Jimmy Butler and Bam are playing to their strengths. Right, they're playing. I mean, they're playing to the weakness of the Denver Nuggets. They're playing and then just taking what the Nuggets are giving. The Lakers were trying to force things that weren't there. They were trying to force the ball inside. They were trying to force these transition plays that led to turnovers. They were just trying to get to the rim the entire time. And I think if they would have took the time, LeBron's the only one that seemed to get it, from game 3, 4, from the second half of game 2 to the end of game 4. LeBron got it, and he started shooting. AD never got it. He still tried to force inside, because I think AD has a skinny person complex, where he thinks that because a person thinks he's skinny, he has to prove that he's an actual big man. And sometimes I think he starts trying to get inside too often. And to me, I thought that was the difference in the series with the Heat and in the series with the Lakers. The Heat are well coached. They take what's there. The Lakers are essentially just are coached, but they're not that well coached, and that's the biggest difference. That the Lakers in between those two teams, the Lakers couldn't buy a shot because they weren't taking shots to begin with. The volume was a lot lower, so you shooting a high percentage shots, so you need a higher volume of shots. But anyway, that's all I wanted to do. Please comment. Let me know what you think. Thumbs it up and subscribe. All right, y'all. Peace.